muffin. He got hungry.
Yeah.
He said, we haven't eaten, and I'm hungry, and I gotta eat food. I'm like, we literally ate 2 hours ago. He's like, really? And I was like, yeah. So
only a muffin.
we had a light breakfast.
Very light.
So we are here today to you had a dog hair on your face. Ew. We're here to talk about just what we've been up to. We've been gone for a while, and so we wanted to give some updates on what we've been doing in 2021. So I'm going to start off with the fact that we had cheer kind of canceled for 2020 just because of COVID and everything. My usual fall football cheer season was moved to the spring. Football was moved to the spring. So 2020 season was moved to 2021. It was really cool because we were thinking we just wouldn't have a season at all. And then last minute, they're like, just kidding, we're going to fit football in before basketball. We're like, okay. Or before track. It was after basketball, I'm pretty sure. But anyways, it was very interesting. A very chaotic time. It was fun. It was great. I'm a cheer coach. At the time, I was the assistant coach. It took a lot of my time because we had practice every day, football games every Friday. And so it was just a lot, but it was really fun. I enjoy it. I love being a cheer coach. I love cheer. And then I don't remember what month, but I think it was within cheer season. It was in the spring. We went to Bloom Conference, which is a woman's...
Got a cramp in my foot!
I went to this woman's conference with my mother-in-law and sister-in-law and my niece-in-law. It was really fun. It was in Idaho. And it was just, I think we just went for I think it was just a day thing. Mm-hmm. Or if it was an overnight thing, we just went for a day. Because I feel like we weren't there very long. I really don't remember actually a whole lot because it was a year ago. But I just remember it was really good and it was really fun. It was the first time that I've gone to that conference. It's a conference that our...
MFI.
No.
Organization.
The organization that we are a part of. So like AG, Assembly of God, there's churches within Assembly of God. Our church is a part of something called MFI, an organization called MFI, Ministers Fellowship International. And so it was within a church from MFI. So anyways, it was really good and I enjoyed watching and also got to bring back not only passions and a fresh fire, but also like equipment stuff that I saw, sound team stuff, worship team stuff that I got to bring back to our church. Then at our church, we opened the coffee kiosk.
Yes.
So it's this kiosk. I'll put pictures up here. It's a kiosk within our church that we opened up that serves coffee, and we used to do bagels. We are youth pastors of our church. It's our youth group that generally runs it, and they get the profit from it. Kind of like a fundraiser that's all year long. Obviously, it's not a big fundraiser, but at the end of the year, they get, a couple $100 out of it or whatever, just to help go towards whatever, conferences or buying t-shirts or whatever. And that'll progress as we invest more into it. Like I said, we just opened it. So we were focusing on opening up this coffee shop. We got a counter built. A man in our church, his name is Brian. He built the kiosk itself for us to fit in our space and very beautiful. Mm-hmm. And we're still making progress on it. Like there's gates we got to put up and a cupboard, a lockable cupboard we're going to put on it. And eventually we'll put a drawer for the cash box. And so it's just all kinds of, it's like a house. You have a list of things and there's always something to do. But so we both were running it as the youth pastors. We were kind of like in charge of it. I stepped down because I've taken on more things this year, which I'm going to get to here in a little bit. At the time, I didn't have as much on my plate, so I was helping out. But it's kind of Nathan's thing now. So, and it's more his passion. It's funny because when we got married, I was passionate about making coffee and I wanted our espresso machine. And because I worked at a restaurant where I made coffee, not saying it was great, but it wasn't bad. And I learned some things just by experience and Canadians who are picky coming in and saying that tastes terrible. Try this. And I ended up learning tips. That passion rubbed off on Nathan, which I think he's kind of always had, just not in the same way. More like he liked his PSLs from Starbucks and his chestnut pralines and now the roles have flipped. Like I don't care as much about coffee. I like good coffee and I think the process is interesting, but I'm not trying to go make coffee. But Nathan's like into it. Like he really likes it.
I love espresso, like everything espresso, and I've been investing in my set. Been getting like higher end things. And just been doing so much research and joined a Reddit page for espresso, all these different things like just to learn more about it, because it's super cool. Extraction of like the beans, super cool. I got a Chemex to do pour overs. I got a scale to measure out my beans. Working on getting some more stuff for that, and so just have more at-home stuff, but also improve the coffee shop that we have. And I know that I got some high-quality beans, stuff that's just better, just to make really good espresso, and to do better, just as good as we can, really, for what we have. We don't have top-of-the-line stuff, but we have Breville's, which Breville's amazing. They're amazing machines. They're really good. But there's obviously higher-end stuff out there.
They're more like, they're high end, but high end for like your household.
Yeah, they're like
not
high end
necessarily
for
like what a coffee shop.
And I know
would
that
use.
even some people even have higher end than that, and they go for like $1,000 some dollars, which machines, which I know like that's most people do spend that much if they want to have an at home espresso station. That's totally fine. But we're just not in that boat to do that, and
we're only open 2 days a week.
Yeah,
like we're not big enough that.
Well, I mean, even for home, some people have like $1,000 machines in their home. It's just not worth it for us, and plus we just have.
Somebody wants to buy it for us and give it to us.
Yeah, sure. I like it. I guess that's been a new discovered passion that I've had within COVID. Probably.
Yeah. Investing more time into that.
Yeah, investing more time into doing that and doing it better. Learning tips and tricks and things to do better.
You want to just briefly discuss some of the things that you've learned within the last couple of months, like about your naked filter and your scale?
Yeah, I don't want to take too much time with it, but like the bottomless portafilter. If you don't know, maybe you could put like a picture of one or something.
Sure.
Still learning how to use that. I do not have like a burr grinder. If you don't know what a burr grinder is, if you're learning to do espresso, there's the bladed grinders. I honestly don't know why they're not as good. I think that the reason why they're not as good is because they don't grind everything evenly. You're going to get some chunks that are not ground proportionately to all the rest of the beans. I haven't actually researched why the bladed grinders are not as good, but I think it's because stuff gets ground finer than others. But the burr grinders are like gears with blades, and so they literally like mince up the beans proportionately evenly, and then it grinds it into a finer thing. So I've learned to use a scale. As far as dosing your coffee is huge, because if you don't dose enough, then the water runs through the beans too quickly. You can get sour shots if it runs through too quickly, or it just doesn't have enough pressure. If it's not, it needs to be packed pretty full. Really, your portafilter should be pretty full. Sometimes it's overflowing, and you spread it around, and you want to get it evenly. I've learned about a leveler, which levels your beans proportionally all the way around, and then tamp it hard. I mean, some people say that you can over-tamp. Most people say you actually can't over-tamp, because you can just tamp as hard as you can. If you have a too fine of grind and you over-tamp, yes, you can choke out your machine.
So what does that mean? Like the water can't run through it?
The water can't run through it. It's literally like a solid piece of concrete. I've learned that you use a finer grind for a bottomless portafilter because it's only a single wall. It's not a double wall. So it doesn't have as much to get through. So it's just like, it literally just goes through the beans and then it just comes out of the bottom and there's holes everywhere. Like it's just like a filter.
There's a lot of things he notices that I don't.
Yeah, and when you mix
I'm
it
like,
with sugar
that's good coffee
and stuff, if you mix it with like we do white chocolate powder with hers, once you mix it with that, it kind of alters the flavor. Well, it definitely alters the flavor of the bean or of the espresso a little bit.
We personally use Vivace.
It's really good. She's not going to taste it, and hers as much as I'm going to. I use a lot less sugar. I even did a pour over yesterday. It was just so good. I didn't even use any flavoring. I just used half and half. It was just straight black coffee, besides the cream. So I'm sorry, I'm rambling about it, but I love it. It's really cool. I've learned just some things that you can get away with when you have a regular portafilter that you can't get away with when you have a naked. You have to really fine tune your coffee game, I guess you could say, when you have a naked portafilter. If you have a more bottomless portafilter, but I've learned that. I've learned the scale thing. Dosing is huge. My machine's good. It's Breville Bambino. It's a really good machine, but it is definitely an at-home cheap machine. But it's not cheap in the sense that it's low quality. Some things on it were low quality, but they were more the accessories, not the actual machine itself. The machine itself actually pulls good shots. It steams really well. It steams better than our Barista Expresses at the shop, which those are $700 machines.
They're also older.
They are older, but the it just heats up because it gets more compact, so it heats it up quicker because it doesn't have as much to heat up. I'm really liking espresso right now. It's been good. I'm wanting to get better at it. I'll move on. I'll get back to you.
Okay. Okay.
Back to you, Melanie.
Thanks, Nathan. So yeah, we opened that coffee kiosk, which he's now in charge of. It's been going well. Excuse you. There are people that we have already lost, and new people that we have brought on, and so it's just a learning process for everyone. It's a good way to get the teens involved in serving, understanding, because they don't get paid.
Yeah.
They get tips every once in a while, but they don't get paid, and so this is truly a volunteer position. It's just a place to learn how to serve.
Yeah.
And eventually they'll be upgraded to something else, a ministry that they are called to, a ministry that they're more passionate about. And so I'm just excited that the teens have something to do, basically. Because in the past, unfortunately, our teens have been stretched very thin. There were teens that were serving in children's ministry and nursery and doing all kinds of stuff and being pulled away from youth a lot. And so we kind of had to put our foot down and say, don't use teens anymore, at least not right now, because we need them in youth group. They need to be built now more than ever. And now I feel like our youth group is at a point where there are some of them that still need to be in youth, be poured into before they can pour out. But then there are some teens where it's like, okay, you're ready. Like you need to, it's important to serve. We had 2 family members that got ill, and that was actually the main reason why we stopped posting. It happened within the cheer season, actually. It was the end of cheer season. I think it was like May, early May or late April. I'm pretty sure it was May because it was right before our birthday. Our birthdays are one day apart. And so one of his older sisters, her name is Shirley, which I want to make a whole video about that.
Yeah, I think we should. I think we should just take the total.
Take a whole video to explain what happened.
She
died.
She basically died and then was revived.
Yeah.
Like twice throughout the whole entire week span of just like insane, like hell, pretty much. It was, but at the same time, God was there with us, and it was amazing what happened. I want to talk about that in a whole separate thing because I understand how people can have guards up when it comes to like talking about healing, talking about things like that. But like, I mean, I like to acknowledge the fact, like, I know that there are people out there that maybe were in a situation similar and didn't get the healing that they were praying for. Yeah. And so I like to address that, to talk about that, talk about faith in that time, like what that looked like, and like some people just, their guard up with, they put their guard up with things that talk about healing, talk about somebody getting healed or God did it or whatever. But truly, I would like to talk about it. So I'd encourage you, when you see that video come up, when it talks about my sister, that you would watch it, and hopefully it'll just be encouraging to you. And it was encouraging. I mean, it was amazing and what happened, but it was hell going into it. But that was what happened. My sister, she's okay now. She's getting better steadily. It wasn't easy. It hasn't been an easy road for her, but she is getting better. But it was a crazy time. My sister pretty much almost died.
Yeah. And so we were away from home for about 2 weeks, I think. There were kind of some points where we were home and then we'd go back. Or I came home for a few days. And then, which I think is when I made one of those videos, I said, hey, we're not going to be posting for a while. I think that was when I made that video, was at a time where I was home. I don't remember exactly, but we weren't home. Yeah. We were in Wenatchee at the hotel with our family, with his mom and dad and other sister and his sister Shirley's kids. Yeah. And so it was just kind of chaotic of a time, and we wanted to focus on. And then after that, we were focusing more on spending time with family. Events like that. I've always been the kind of person that's like, I say goodbye to people like it's the last time. It just kind of reawoke something within both of us that was like, we need to spend more time with family. Yeah. And so we were taking a lot more time focusing on family and focusing on our ministry, realizing life is short. Yeah. And so, and then, just why do this if we don't have a passion, Yeah. And so we kind of just decided to lay it down for a bit. We didn't know how long we'd be gone. We knew we'd come back, but we just wanted to focus more on family and focus on the miracle. My grandma also got really sick, heart issues. And so close to around the same time, not quite, I think it was a couple weeks later. Yeah. Or maybe before. No, I think it was later. Anyways, it doesn't matter when it was. It was just really scary. My grandma is my best friend. It's my grandma Linda. and she's the only grandma I actually have left. And so, so yeah, it was just a really scary time.
Yeah.
But God's just good. It was an incredible testimonies, honestly, and I'm excited to share more with you. So be on the lookout for that video because it will be coming. So moving on from that, in the spring, there's usually a conference. It's called G3 Conference. It's a youth and young adult conference, ages 12 to 25, 13 to 25, something like that. I think we've taken 12-year-olds. I don't remember if they're allowed to go or not, but we've taken them because that's what our youth group age is 12 to 18.
Yeah.
But anyways, so that's in Walla Walla. It's called Life Church, and it is an amazing church. I actually have some friends from high school that go there. Nathan knew one of them as well when he was in school, and we went to different schools, but we had kind of the same friend group, which is weird, but that we never met each other. But anyways, so we have a couple of personal connections there, and then we've made new connections. And we went to their conference and we loved it, so we plan to go forever.
Yeah.
And never stop, as long as the Lord blesses us and blesses it, as long as we're youth pastors. But even for us, honestly, it's just their team of leadership is amazing. And so with COVID, they said, you know what, we're going to cancel the conference this year because the year before that, it was going to be our second year going, and it was actually the weekend that COVID kind of entered our community and was that was the big shift in the world. Obviously, COVID happened in 2019, and it seeped into 2020, and that's when things got really bad. It was like November, December, whatever of 2019, but in March, it was like that first weekend of March, I think, and we literally were like, we got all the vans, we were getting packed, we're ready to go, we're going to go pick up the kids, and then we got an email from the pastors at Life Church that were like, yo dog, we're canceling conference.
Yeah, it was all just starting into.
It was all just starting, and then we did our own mini. It was more like a youth rally rather than a conference, but we did our own like little rally at our church just for our kids because we're like, well, they're already packed and ready to go. Might as well do something with them.
Well, I will say that the restrictions as far as like amounts of people, we weren't defying any of the restrictions or anything like that at the time. Or the regulations because
there wasn't regulations yet.
Well, they implemented it through the weekend. It was
that we were doing it.
It was like a 500 or less or something like that. You couldn't have over 500, and the city was they did it in honor of their city because their city was starting to ask people not to have big events.
Yes.
It wasn't like it was required necessarily, but it did. I think into that weekend become required to like no bigger than this. Like this is your cap. And so we were way under that. We were like way under that. So there was nothing like illegal or
we didn't have any restrictions yet in our area.
That's true,
so I mean, it literally happened over the weekend was when the restrictions started coming. Because I remember we were getting notifications because we're community members that the teens were not going back to school. They were going back to school on Monday to pick up their computers, they get laptops. They were going back to school to get their stuff out of their lockers and basically go home for a couple of weeks. And I remember the teens were like, yeah, that's awesome. We get a couple of weeks off of school and just be home. And we're like, no, like we understand where you're coming from. We probably would have felt the same way. But like the fact that you're not going to be in school due to this isn't going to be 2 weeks.
Yeah.
This is really scary.
Yeah,
like this is intense.
Yeah.
And so we had, I think, like a half hour's worth of just like praying over what was going on.
Yeah.
And then that Monday, they were like, just kidding, come get your stuff and then go. Like, you're not even going to stay at school. It was just like a come as the day goes on, just show up and get your stuff and leave. Like, we don't want you. Because it happened so fast. Like, the restrictions happened literally over the weekend. But the point is, that conference that we were going to go to, we were excited to go in 2021 because we're like, we didn't get to go last year. And they said, just kidding, we're going to cancel again. We're like, dang it. And then last minute, kind of into the summer, they're like, okay, in a month from now, we're having conference. We're like, praise the Lord.
They did a 2-day instead of a 3-day, and they just made it really quick. We had to get a hotel instead of host homes. So it was really good.
It was so good, honestly. But, and it was just good to get out. I think there's an importance of getting out of your community, seeing, especially for kids, seeing other teenagers like your age that are on fire for God, not just this like wishy-washy, like truly on fire. Really, seeing people similar to your age, close to your age, up leading worship. Cool. And so it was just really good. And then we had 2 weddings. Nathan, both of us are ordained. There were 2 weddings. Nathan didn't ordain one of them. He was just in it because it was our friend, which you guys know Cody. He's been in a few videos. I'll put a picture here of him and his beautiful wife, Natalie. So they got married in 2020. They didn't necessarily elope, but they got married. It was a very small, private ceremony. And then in 2021, they had their actual wedding for all their friends and family to come, whoever was comfortable to go ahead and come and celebrate their union. And it was really close to being a year after they got married. So it was just the big celebration, which a lot of people were doing with COVID. Just go ahead and getting married with a private ceremony or eloping and then doing a ceremony later. So it was beautiful. We were super involved with that. I helped do video stuff super last minute. And it wasn't excellent because I was in the wedding. So it's hard to record a wedding when you're in it. But it was still a good time, a beautiful wedding, beautiful people, and it was fun to celebrate them. And so we had a lot of stuff preparing for that, spending time with them, preparing for the wedding, and then being a part of the wedding. So that was in it. Then there was some friends of ours, a friend of mine from high school, and actually a cousin of Nathan's, right? She's your cousin?
Mm-hmm. Yes.
So he married them. He did do their wedding, and I recorded for them. So we had that to prepare for rehearsal, and I did some further research into video stuff, and so we had a couple weddings that we were involved with.
Well, and there was also Jenna and David's.
Was that 2021?
I think it was in 2021.
I thought it was 2020.
I think it was early 2021.
Oh, okay, so no, there's no way we did 3 weddings in a year. I'm pretty sure that was 20, well, maybe. He ordained them, he married them.
Yeah.
And I did the video for them
maybe
as well.
It was 2020. It could have been 2020.
It might. I don't know what it was. I just know that Kiva was in the area. It was nice enough to have an outdoor wedding. So I thought it was summertime in 2020, but maybe not. Anyways, doesn't matter. There was just a lot of weddings. Either way, 2 weddings. That's a lot of weddings to be a part of when you're actually like in the wedding for any purpose. And then after that, Nathan got a new job.
Yes, I worked for a long time at Frontier Foods. You guys probably. If you've watched, you've seen the videos where we had to go in at night and do some different stuff. And I don't know if she's had any other videos talking about my job, but I was just a manager there. I was one of their managers on their team. Worked there since I was 16, and I'm 25 now, going on 26. But just this last September, I got a job with my family. They live in Anacortes, Washington. They're on the west side of Washington. We're on the east east side. Excuse me. I'm working for them. I work for Flood Smart Insurance. I get to work from home, which is super cool. It's been interesting. It's been a transition, but it's been really good. I know it's had its ups and downs, had its hard times, blah blah blah. But it's been good. I got a cool setup for it in my office. Got a routine. As much as every job has its ups and downs, honestly, I would not go back to retail. I'd say the physical challenges. I do miss some of the exercise that I would get. I put on a little bit of weight since I've left Frontier. But I just need to get in a routine of working out and stuff like that. I just need to really truly do that in a healthy way. Because as much as it was good exercise at the store, also there was a lot of unhealthy exercise because you wouldn't think about the way you were lifting, and you're just like, you can pull your back and do different things like that. I'm not saying that physical labor is bad, but I think you definitely need to exercise your muscles and know how to lift correctly, and that comes from working out on your own time. So right now I just need to do that, really, and just eat better. And so I've been trying to work on that a little bit. It's a really good job. I really enjoy it. I always liked like office style jobs. I've always liked those a lot. I don't think it's permanent for me. I think it'll be good for us. It's good for us. It's going to be good for us financially. It's been better for us. Benefits are great, all that kind of stuff. But obviously I have passions. Ministry is a huge passion of mine. Depending on how far coffee goes in my life, coffee is a huge passion of mine. I like doing that kind of stuff. So, but yeah. So that's my update. That's where I've been.
That's all we're going to talk about in this video. We kind of went into detail on some stuff. So we just have one more video that's going to be hopefully a little bit shorter. We just have a couple more things we want to talk about. But anyways, thank you for watching this video. Thanks for seeing what we're up to. Thanks for being interested in what we're doing with our life. And we'll see you in the next video. Bye.
Bye.